If more of you supported the show, I'd be less sick of podcasts.
The blah blah.
Sending out good vibes.
The blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
The blah blah.
Good vibes. Good vibes.
108 breaths of deep gratitude and prayers for guidance and protection. And put on a didgeridoo and shamanic drumming track. Shivers or vibrations and stuff like that.
But, you know, poor guys these days, they don't know that everything they're consuming is messing with their hormones, right? They're highly acidic. They're not sleeping well. Their hormones are awry.
Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grammatic Show. We are going to be chatting with Rachel Varga a little bit later about some biohacking stuff and some skincare stuff and all this toxic shit that, you know, most of you guys that are listening probably know about already, but we're going to talk about it some more. It's a good show. It's a fun show. And, yeah, it's a good one. We will get into that a little later after our lazy ramblings. Of course, if you want to skip this lazy ramblings part, there's always a timestamp in the show notes. And if you're using a podcast player that isn't a piece of shit, you could go to the notes and you probably just click that timestamp and boom, there you are at the interview. So if you want to do
is there
that,
sometimes a
up to you
fast
too.
forward button to go to the next thing? Too,
You
or
know, most of the time I
But
put that in there, but what I found is most pod players don't seem to support that.
no? Yeah.
The other thing we should mention off the bat is we did this morning have the Tychos space guys on. And we did about a 2-hour YouTube show with them where they were playing with the Tychos model.
The Tychosium.
We live streamed it. So it was pretty cool. There was 50 or 60 people watching, I think. And I think that was the first time we live streamed in almost a year. It won't be a habit. But, you know, we're back to doing our video stuff on YouTube for now. So that's where it'll be when we do it, but it's not like it's going to be all the time. But it was fun. We did a live stream. You can see our pretty faces, I guess, for a minute. And
Those guys are great too. I mean, it
was really well done.
It's amazing video representation of their model, you know, of Simon's model and Patrick. I mean, they complement each other quite a bit. I mean, you know, Simon came up with this amazing model, but then they're so complimentary to each other too. We're so lucky we found each other.
Yeah. Let me finish. It was a great show. It was fun. It was weird to be back on live stream, but what do you?
I know.
This is why we don't do video because it sucks.
I know. I don't want to be out there.
Seems like
I just
a good
want to
idea
talk about
till you're on
interesting
video.
topics. I don't need to be out there.
Totally. So how's
But
your,
I mean, like some people say we should be because it helps, and maybe it does. I don't know.
maybe.
Hard to say.
Well, how's your weekend? You saying it went by fast?
Well, it always does. I mean, it just
Yeah.
when you work all day, all night, it just flies by.
Oh
You love
my
your
God.
job, it flies by.
Listen to fucking this guy. He's living like what most people would equate to the dream of sorts. And he's working night and day. He's slaving away for the show.
Well, I get to read Manly P. Hall's book right now, and I finished another book this week. It's great, dude. It's awesome.
Oh, that's right.
Privileged.
Behaviour of Crowds is
So
out.
very grateful. Very grateful. What's that?
Me too. The Behaviour of Crowds is out.
I've got something ready from that.
do you?
Because we've never talked about it on the show. It's kind of like a quote, or it's like, you know.
Okay, well,
So-
wait, I think I have a jingle. Let's just wait because, oh my God, I'm getting so many emails right now. It's retarded. You know why? Because the Scablands email went out.
Yeah.
So as soon as that went out, everybody on the mailing list is now emailing me to figure out how to pay and blah, blah, blah. I really need to simplify that process somehow.
Yeah.
Once we switch over, so next year, this is exciting. We're going to switch the events over to Eventbrite. And I believe they offer a few different levels of financing, in-house financing and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with us. But anyway, that's some exciting news for the future. It'll be to that and less work for me, hopefully. But, oh yeah, I forgot I was looking for that jingle.
Yeah.
I got it here for sure.
So what we're talking, well, actually, I'll wait for the jingle.
Wait for the jingle.
Adultbrain.ca. That's ADULTBRAIN.ca.
Wow. Is that a new jingle from Felix?
We've had it for a while. I don't know if I've ever shown it to you, but I do post-produce it into the show sometimes. I figure it's like
cool.
our only commercial.
Well, we did update Adult Brain is fully up to date with all our books, including the latest release, The Behaviour of Crowds, Everett D. Martin. Now, this is written almost 100 years ago. Very interesting because it's talking about Le Bon's book and crowd behavior. And when they say crowd, they mean like not a lot of people, but what we would say is like crowd group think, you know. And you sent me a quote the other day, and I thought for a second, that makes sense, but I thought you were talking about right now, today, like the psychological problem of today.
What? I sent you a quote?
Yeah, and it was actually from this. I don't know. You must have known. So it says,
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about. You sure this isn't one of your weird dreams? Your weird Darren
dude,
sex
you
dreams?
sent me a text with this quote because the book came out. And
dude, that wasn't a quote. I just copy pasted that from the description.
I know.
That's not a quote, is it?
Yeah, it's a quote from the book.
All right, go ahead.
It's this is not the one I'm reading. This is just what you sent me, which is very appropriate. It says events are making it more and more clear, pressing as are certain economic questions.
I did pick that out, especially. Yeah, I did. You're right.
The forces which threaten society are really psychological. And I thought, yep, that's what's going on. And then I realized, wait a second.
As soon as I started reading it,
make that up.
As soon as I started reading the description, I was like, whoa, that's perfect. Yeah, that's right. No, I didn't make that up. Holy fuck, no.
So this is from our audiobook, and it's out there now, Behaviour of Crowds. If you were to get anywhere in this progressive age, you must be vulgar. You must add to your vulgarity unction. You must take sides upon dilemmas which are but half true. Change the tempo of your music to ragtime. Eat your spiritual food with a knife. Drape yourself in the flag of the dominant party. In other words, you must be 100% crowd man. So, I mean, he's talking about what's happening today. Cancel culture, the current thing, you know, putting your flags on your profiles as soon as they tell you to. The effect of all this upon the individual is that he is permitted neither to know nor to belong to himself. He becomes a mere banner toter. He must hold himself ever in readiness to waggle in the perpetual Simon Says thumbs up game, which his crowd is playing. He spends his days playing a part which others have written for him, loses much of his genuineness and courage, and pampers himself with imitation virtues and secondhand truths. Public opinion is manufactured just as bricks are made. I mean, and this is before the internet, obviously radio was around, and
bricks one, eh? You've been bringing that up for a while. You love that bricks one.
Possibly a slightly better knowledge of mechanical engineering is required for making public opinion, but the process is the same. Both can be stamped out in the quantity required and delivered anywhere to order. Our thinking on most important subjects today is as little original as the mental processes of the men who write and the machines which print the pages we read and repeat as our own opinions. And then there's one more here. It just says, whenever we take up new ideas as a crowd, we at once turn it into a catchword and a fad. Fadism, instead of being merely a hunger for the new, is rather an expression of the crowd will to uniformity. To be old-fashioned and out of date is as truly to be a nonconformist as to be a freak or an originator. I mean, can you imagine that? This is what's happening.
I'm a freak
because you're old-fashioned.
I'm not even that old-fashioned.
I know, but I mean, you have a tinge of I
guess I'm kind of old-fashioned, but I like my internet and stuff too. I mean, I'm addicted to my phone.
I know, but it's what I'm getting at is it's like the traditional thing is becoming old, could be seen as old-fashioned in a way, right?
Is why
it says is to be a nonconformist as to be a freak or an originator. Fadism is neither radicalism nor a symptom of progress. So yeah, super interesting. And he made me think it made me think, like, are we part of the crowd? Like, we're crowd. It's so hard not to go into the crowd think either way, right? And it's never, when your crowd disseminates, the ruling crowd disseminates, and a new one comes in. There's, like what he says is, it never changes. It just stays. It stays. The other crowd has to now become totalitarian or
it's just a collection of crowd holes.
And it just keeps doing the same thing over and over. The crowd changes.
Crowd?
Things stay the same.
Are we a crowd?
I don't know. I feel like we're a minority crowd, but I feel like but with the internet, maybe we are a crowd now. Maybe we would never been a crowd, except that now we can connect enough people to create our own crowd mind.
How many in a crowd? Can you and I be a crowd?
I guess. I don't know.
Probably not.
Maybe.
It's probably more like, I don't know.
I mean, I guess if we're brainwashing each other, we could be. I mean,
that'd be more of like a crew, maybe. There's probably like set numbers, I bet. Crowd is like up to 19 or something like that.
So-called scientific socialists are now inclined to ridicule such idealistic speculation, but one has only to scratch beneath the surface of present-day socialist propaganda to find under its materialist jargon the same old dream of the ages.
Was that more from the book?
Yeah.
You just have the book open over there?
No, I keep notes this is part of my job. I keep notes for the show and stuff. I keep track of things, you know.
This is what keeps you up all night. So you just worked all weekend, nothing fun? We had
we did a great show today, and we were supposed to have another show today. And
yeah, it was stacked up. It was kind of nice that metal show didn't.
Actually, I dungeon mastered in D&D last night. That's like the only thing I did outside of the norm.
D&D?
Yeah,
that's not D&D's outside of the norm now. We're calling it
outside of the normal job. You know.
Oh, so that's it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Such a trooper. I mean, I should give you a bonus. Well, of course, we have Madison's birthday. She's 11 now. It was hot.
Oh, happy birthday.
I had to control that. Not to control, but I had to walk the horse back and forth all afternoon.
Oh, in the hot, like in the 30-degree weather, you mean?
Yeah, it was pretty hot. It gets hotter than you think. It didn't seem like it was too bad at first, but by the end of it, it was pretty hot. But it was pretty fun. It was a success. She wanted a smartphone. She didn't get one. She's not getting a smartphone until she's like at least 60.
Really, eh? What does she think about that?
She's not thrilled about it, but, you know, I've drawn a pretty hard line in the sand. She actually just got her iPad taken away. For reasons that we won't get into here, but she's at that age where it's like she wants it. I'm like, dude, I'm addicted to my phone. How can I unleash this on you when I can't figure it out? And I go through phases when I'm good and I won't touch it. It's hunting season coming out, so that's
but it's hard when it's your job. It's your computer for your job too.
It's like 4 fucking jobs for me, but that's not the excuse because now it's up. Now it's on for. I got to check my email a bunch. I'm getting a fucking billion texts, and then it's like, oh well, fucking Instagram. Oh, there's Facebook. I got kicked off Facebook for 24, 48 hours, so that's that. And Twitter's now got me on my last warning, so that social media problem might take care of itself. But I could see how people get hooked. Here's the thing. There's too many memes and they're too funny.
What's the difference?
They're too funny. Dude, that meme I sent you last night, I have literally watched and fucking laughed out loud. I was in bed last night by myself laughing out loud. And then I woke up this morning and I watched it again. And I'm like...
That happens to me too. Which one are you talking about?
I'll play it. I'll just play it.
Play it. Yeah, play it.
I see Instagram could be a problem because it's just like meme land. It's just like meme land. There's no bullshit in there. It's just all memes and fucking cool shit. So I gotta be careful with that one. But it just serves the... Oh shit, where is it now? I texted it to you, right? So that should be in here somewhere. I still don't know my way around here too good. But some of this shit is so funny. And then I seen a chick that went like, she was balancing on 2 arrows. So she just had 2 arrows.
I sent that to you.
She was balancing on the 2 arrows, and where she goes upside down and shoots the fucking bow and arrow with her feet.
And to Joe Rogan's face?
Oh, I didn't see that part.
Yeah, it's a moving Joe Rogan target.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Okay, here's this, and this is from Sigma Rule.
No. That's for the boy.
How do I start it over? How do you start it over?
Well, if you can't drag the thing,
I'll just try this here.
Scroll up and down, and it should reset it.
My fucking phone back.
No.
Don't go to my group chat, please.
No.
That's for the boys only. Stop. Open this fucking door.
You and your homie send pictures of your balls to each other?
You're not supposed to know.
That's fucking weird.
It's not weird. It's the boys.
So they know what your balls look like?
Fuck yeah. My fucking
Oh fuck! It's so funny to me.
It's the boys. It's the boys.
Is that a thing that's happening?
I don't know, but I mean, guys have to shower. Like, I mean, you got to understand that guys have always had these open. Always had to go in these open showers.
Whoa.
Right?
Yeah.
When you play hockey together, when you do it, it's not like we have our own little showers like the girls, right?
Do the girls have their own showers?
Yeah, they don't shower in groups like we do, dude.
Are you
Unless
sure
they're in
about
prison.
that?
I mean, in prison they might, but
What?
what?
I don't know. I don't know if I believe you. I think it's just the same.
What do you mean?
I've always assumed it's the exact same setup as we had in the guys' change
No,
room.
of course not. Dude. They have their own little shower stalls.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, how come I didn't? I mean, I was a late bloomer. I was like, I remember summer. Oh God, I should have shut the fuck up. In the summer before grade 9, because grade 9 was like high school, and we had done shadow day, so I knew about the group shower at that point, and I didn't have hair on my shit yet, and I was like petrified. It was a big summer for me. Every day I'm like, fuck, there's something starting down there. But in the end of the day, I ended up getting a couple sprouts, and no one really noticed anyway. But
how old were you then?
I would have been 13 probably.
Yeah,
13.
See, that's what I mean. Like,
it was right around the time I learned that my dick I could masturbate. It was a crazy time.
We've always had to look at, not that they have to look, but like who's got the biggest dick and the smallest dick and all that. I mean,
we didn't have porn to show us all
together.
that stuff. Like, I just stumbled upon jerking off. It was an accident. Anyway, what do you got for us?
Well, oh geez, now you can't. Well, I already went over that whole thing. I went to Tychos, the Tychos thing. Oh, I do have a synchronicity from a listener, actually.
A listener synchro?
Yeah. It's kind of got to do with me too, but.
A gram synchro? All right, I'll use this one then.
I'm a rambling gram with synchronicities all over the web. And Aaron is skeptical about everyone and don't believe it yet.
Oh my God, I'm sweating right now. We shouldn't laugh so hard.
That little room of yours must get fucking hot.
Oh yeah, it gets.
Why don't you use a little room down in the basement?
Because the basement's full of crying fucking kids and babies.
Graham gets triggered. That's the only time you get really upset when you talk about those kids in the basement. And actually, you get upset a lot when you read audiobooks too. For a guy who's living the dream, you're pretty angry whenever you make a mistake.
Dude, if you read the same sentence 5 times and made the mistake at the very last word, it gets a little frustrating.
A little.
It's just the last word. You think you're through it, and then no, I don't do it a lot. Sometimes I do it, but sometimes it gets me. A lot of times it doesn't. But this is why this is important to me, because we were talking to Linda Schiller. We were recording with her. This episode hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in a couple weeks, I guess.
Is that the dream one?
Yeah, PTS dreams. PTS. Yeah, Darren gets
that
analyzed.
Took a right turn.
What?
Well, I wasn't expecting it to turn into an analyzed session about me.
Yeah, but that's okay. That's
it's okay.
Yeah.
Caught
That's
me
okay
off guard.
from my point of view.
It would have been better if it was about you.
We were talking about this trauma and dreams and stuff, and towards the end of the episode, I asked her. I tried to ask her. I couldn't really articulate it properly, but I tried to ask her this question about why invoking the name of Jesus actually makes a difference for a lot of people that are having spiritual attacks, and then why, if that's the case, does it have to be real? Does it have to be Jesus, or could it be another thing that collectively we believe in? And why does it lose its power over time? It seems to fizzle out over time with people.
Do you think it's a belief thing? Or you don't believe it hard enough anymore? It like works at first.
So this is at the end of the episode. So of course we finished the episode up, and I pull up my email, and a friend of the show, he emails me quite a bit. Stephen in the UK says, if we do end up meeting with GW, he's a magician that we know. I wonder if you can ask him a question. I think I've put it to you in a deeper context previously. I really think it's a doozy. Do magicians invoke Jesus Christ? If not, why not? As an occult egregore, even if a magician, doesn't believe Christ ever actually existed, surely through a magical perspective, his existence cannot be disputed. An egregore, also egregore, is an occult concept representing a thought form or collective group mind. Now, I didn't use this word. I should have used this word with her. Maybe she would have understood a little bit more about what I was trying to get at. It's an autonomous psychic entity made up of and influencing the thoughts of a group of people. With all those prayers, worship, belief, and esoterica, the Christian group mentality must have created Christ as an autonomous psychic entity, even if he never did embody earthly physical form. From a magical perspective, what's the argument against such a theory? So the Christ has to be either way as an external autonomous being.
Well, what's the difference between that and a tulpa then?
A tulpa is like you're actually creating a creature, like a single creature.
And what's an egregore? Not that.
It's a group. It's a psychic entity that's more of like group based, right?
But it's still a single entity taking over a group.
No. This is like a physical. Like a tulpa is like a physical entity, like a Sherpa that follows you around, like your own little servant kind of thing.
Wonder what color his skin is. Do you get to pick that? Opaque.
Sure.
Opaque.
Yeah.
Then you don't get into trouble.
Yeah, translucent.
We should make a couple tulpas to help out with the show.
Yeah, sure. No, you don't want to be playing around with any of that stuff.
To turn into a big troublemaker? Just wrecking up the place. I got enough cats doing that. Fuck me.
Yeah. So would invocation... where was I?
Sorry, bro.
So why don't magicians invoke such a loving, giving egregore? Maybe they do. I know they invoke the Christ within, but not so much the autonomous Christ egregore without. Would invocation of the Christ egregores get you anything? Christians seem to think so, but perhaps they are actually practicing Christian chaos magic without realizing it. I'm interested in this topic from a chaos magician's perspective. So, anyways, because he said, well, the other thing is, he said he sees us and the higher side chats kind of like conglomerating, and I don't think he knew at the time that we actually are including Greg Carwood in our Magic on the Mountain trip in February in Mount Shasta.
Well, that's more of a collaboration and then a conglomeration. A conglomeration would be like merging, I guess, which would be I don't see how that could ever happen. But I mean, that is crazy. If he said that before we decided or talked about that, that would be crazy because we didn't tell anyone about that for a while.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I was blown away by that because that was like the question I was trying to ask, like perfectly articulated, kind of, or more from a magical perspective. I was kind of asking more from a sort of an esoteric, sort of obscure spiritual perspective. So then he replied. Can I read his last reply then as well? Gnostic reality of knowing rather than belief is realizing through being challenged by the experience of being challenged by some rather nightmarish beings. It was not my personal choice of knowing, but my experience showed me many things. You asked why invoking JC or Yeshua wanes over time. Yeshua's name includes the word salvation. It's interesting and key to know key to how Hebrew writers encoded multiple meanings in their writings. And then he included a link to Yeshua.org. What does Yeshua mean? And I'll put that link in the show notes. He says the sacred and profane, meaning different people would get different understandings from the text, depending on their knowledge or level of spiritual knowledge. Greg's recent show on astrotheology is a great example. Yes, the Bible is full of these references to stars. The Hebrews are obsessed with them. But is that the only meaning, the one truth? No. The author has focused on one aspect and has rightfully followed that code. But in doing so, he's excluded many others, such as gematria. But where did it lead him? Back to the creative mystery, back to the creator. So those old rabbis still revealed a great truth within him. So back to your question. My experience is the power doesn't diminish. It is the waning of faith, perhaps, like you were saying, belief. Knowing that invoking Yeshua is real is the key to understanding. But that only unlocks the door. Perhaps we need to accept and walk through that door, metaphorically by further study and application of the holy power, the holy force which Gnostics named Sophia, meaning wisdom. That is the energy that fights darkness. Beloved Sophia, the Christian Holy Spirit, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Father, Son, Holy, Divine, Feminine, Creative, Beloved, Wise Sophia. That's more like it.
Is this the synchro?
Yeah. So time for a Star Wars metaphor.
I don't know.
So I won't read the rest of that, but I mean, it's a fantastic
Star Wars metaphor. Do I need to know?
Metaphor.
Should I be following something right now? Because I'm not following any thread.
Dude, it's the fact that I asked you the question, then he emailed me the same question in the same night from across the pond.
And the Greg thing's in there too, but we don't know for sure on the dates.
Yeah, exactly. You got it right. See, you followed it all.
All right, well, look at me go.
So I'll stop there.
Well, I mean,
it's just really well worded, and I just really appreciate him putting that together. And then he gets into the Star Wars example, how close Star Wars is to some of this old esoteric wisdom.
It's tough to rate.
You don't have to rate it.
I'm not gonna. Well, and that being said,
because it includes me, it's an automatic like couple levels below the.
Oh yeah,
should
it's
be
like a 3. You probably were leading the witness.
Impossible. We don't do live anymore, so it's not like you watched it live, right?
Well, there's a chance that. No, yeah. Well, for the Greg thing, there's a chance it got mentioned at some point.
Maybe, yeah, the Greg part, yeah.
So I can't really factor that in. We are going to have to ideally get you out to the studio at some point over the next little while. Because my mom is in town. I have a house full of people for the next 2 weeks, which is cool. She brought her dogs with her, so it's a house full. 3 kids, my mom, 2 dogs, and my cats.
And how many cats? 3 cats?
3 cats, yeah.
2 rabbits, or the rabbit's dead?
The rabbits ran away, so that's okay by me. I'm kind
chickens?
of okay with that. The chickens are fine. I'm telling you, those fucking chickens are indestructible. But that being said, so I can't remember, it must have been on the Sunday that we went to the beach, and we were at the beach, and I remember, oh no, it wasn't the beach. Remember I said that we went to that lake festival and it got super windy and everybody's tents blew over. Well, it turns out, I don't think I mentioned this yet, it turns out that a big, like the top of my fucking tree in my backyard blew off and landed on the chicken coop. So, but luckily, it was sturdy enough to withstand it. Otherwise, I could have had a bunch of dead chickens. No, the chicken coop is fine. You could come over and help me deal with the giant log that's leaning on it.
Oh, yeah, okay.
We'll have to like haul it off and chop it into pieces.
Sure.
But the chicken coop stood up. I was surprised it wasn't level. But I'm telling you, dude, everybody should just get chickens. They're fucking indestructible. They take care of themselves. The only problem I ever had was the one went missing. And I think like the, maybe a coyote or fox got or something. But now I've fenced them off into that little corner there, which was what I should have done in the beginning. I should have done that right in the get-go, because then I don't have chicken shit all over my yard to deal with all the time either. It's just in that one little area and under the deck, so I can sort of deal with it at my leisure. And I don't think now that the fox could get in there, but the bunnies are little diggers. So, you know, we had the nice idea to put the bunnies in the yard for the for the summer, and they fucking dug holes and ran off. The one
They
keeps
dug holes under the fence? Or?
yeah. The one keeps, our next guest has already popped in, so she's gonna have to wait there for a minute. The one keeps digging under the one keeps showing up in the front yard again. So I like grab it, and I don't know what to do with it. I don't want to bring it back in the house now that it's been outside living this life. I don't even know what it's been doing. It disappears for days on end, maybe a week at a time. It's feral at this time. So I think I've decided if they show up back in those little houses that I made them when it gets cold out, then I'll bring them back in the house for the winter. And if not, then I'm going to assume that they've chosen to be free, and I'm not going to impose my will on them. I'm kind of hoping for the latter, if I'm being honest. I wouldn't mind if they could just, amalgamate into being city bunnies. Every once in a while,
They don't
you
look
see
anything like those city jackrabbits.
I know,
ripping around.
but every once in a while,
every
once in a while, you see a family of those cute little rabbits. I seen one over by the costume shop a couple weeks ago. I remember because we had to get out of the fucking truck, and the kids had to check it out. Trying to catch them. But so if they escape, they escaped. If they have a new life, that's fine by me. If they come back, then I will offer them shelter. But yeah, it's a fucking house full around here. So we go shooting Tuesday. That'd be cool.
Well, we have a Zoom call for the Scablands on Tuesday. I just realized. So I popped it in the calendar. So
do we just have fucking Zoom calls every day?
Yeah, pretty much.
Because then there's 3 on Wednesday. So nothing tomorrow? Nothing tomorrow.
Nothing tomorrow, no.
I'll go shooting tomorrow. I have plans to go shooting today because I forgot we had a bunch of shows to do. So, what are you going to do? All right. Well, did you do the quote?
No. I'll get it ready.
It's the profound quote of the week. Darren, can you guess it? It's the profound quote of the week. Can you guess the human who spoke it or wrote it down? Profound quote of the week.
All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
There's no America. There's no democracy. There's only IBM and ITT and AT&T and DuPont, Dow, Union Carbide, and Exxon. These are the nations of the world today. We no longer live in a world of nations and ideologies. The world is a collage of corporations, inexorably determined by the immutable bylaws of business. The world is a business.
Fuck, that's a tricky one. What
It's
era?
kind of like what you've been talking about, right? I mean, it really fits with like House Bezos, your little theory about
What era?
70s.
70s?
It's from a show.
It's from a show. Leonard Nimoy.
Network.
Leonard Nimoy.
Network.
You want me to name the network?
No, it's a show. The show is called Network.
Oh.
You don't remember that? You got to watch it.
No, I'm not. There's no chance that's happening, dude. There's like this obscure fucking show is
It's
making
not obscure. Are you kidding me?
I've been thinking
one of the most
about
popular.
watching The Office again.
Oh my God.
But I mean, I'm not going to watch anything until it gets cold out. I got hunting season going. It's like 11 days until hunting season.
All right.
Are you doing any Sherpa this year?
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. Are you at least going to come and do the base hunt?
Maybe.
I feel like I should drag you out. We have to do at least one. 11 days, buddy. It all kicks off. Duck hunting, all that shit. I can't wait. It's a little hot still for ducks, but that's okay. It'll all bleed together, and then we'll be gone to Egypt, and then, bingo bango. It'll be the fucking 2023. Final year of alimony. Is that it? We're out of here?
Yeah, let's do
Support the show. grimerica.ca/support. If you're getting some value from our little podcast here, it's episode 562, I want to say. So 562 episodes, all there for free. You can get them all. No ads, no bullshit. I think we were pushing some Audible stuff right in the beginning, but really there's no ads, there's no nothing. It's all there for free. grimerica.ca/support. Adultbrain.ca for all the audiobooks, of course. Grimerica.ca for the chats. I got another Facebook thing and the Twitter thing. There's, eventually the social media thing is going to be probably gone.
Yeah.
So if you want to stay in on the Grimerica conversation, go over to grimerica.ca/chats. Jump in there. It's our own network. It gets a little racy sometimes, but it's a free speech zone, a ban-free zone, and come on down. We'd love to have you. They do post so much, though, that we have had to start churning it every 6 months because these fuckers post like fucking 100 gigs worth of shit every 6 months. All right. You got a bio?
Yeah. Rachel is double board certified aesthetic nurse specialist since 2011. She's worked with thousands of patients, performing over 20,000 rejuvenation procedures and hosted over 300 interviews with leaders in functional wellness. So she's like one of the first to blend these Western approaches to skincare and rejuvenation, functional insights, and biohacking optimization strategies. And by blending the best of these worlds and observing what her most radiant patients are doing, she will also help guide you on your path to healthy skin and vibrancy for many years. So I won't get into her full media kit, but there's a whole section here about her education and all that. And she says, I'll read a quote here for her. Beauty is feeling and quiet confidence that comes from being perfectly aligned body, mind, spirit, and energy, or as close to perfect as possible. It would be my pleasure to be your guide. There you go.
There you have it. We hope you guys enjoyed our lazy ramblings, and more than that, we hope you enjoy the chat with Rachel Varga. Rachel Varga.
Rachel Varga, thanks so much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, this will be a fun one. We know each other from CCCA. It's a great organization that's kind of pushing back against what's happening right now. Lots of doctors and scientists. So, I've made a couple connections from there. It's been great to just find like-minded people and get to know them.
Yeah, and what I've learned over the last few years is to be a skeptic, to question everything. And in fact, that can be a sign of intelligence, to not necessarily believe everything you're told. And I've seen that so much in my career and being in the health and wellness spaces. You really have to do your due diligence. And as a researcher myself, I publish articles. I love to actually read the research articles and look at how things are actually analyzed, and put some common sense into it, and how can we optimize things. So that's the angle I like to put on things.
Yeah. Let's talk about your background a little bit and what your core thing is with skincare and beauty.
Yeah. Right? So I sometimes get a little bit, let's do some shadow work here, a little bit written off as someone who just focuses on the skin.
Right. Yeah.
However, since working with thousands of clients since 2011, what I've observed are actually what my most vibrant and radiant clients are doing. So this is fascinating here. When I work with clients that are 60 to 80, sometimes even in their 90s, and they've never done anything, they've never used, practitioner grade skincare or done any rejuvenation. And I'm looking at them and they have this glow to them. They have this vibrancy. It's like a 20-year-old in an 80-year-old's body. And I've really come to study what is radiance. And it truly is from body, mind, spirit, energy practices. And then I've just recently tacked on this additional practice of routine detoxification and cleansing too, to get that vibrance of the best skin of your life with as fewer interventions as possible, but really doing the hard work and focusing on daily good choices. And it's been a lot of fun. It's really cool work what I do.
Yeah, I was looking into some of your, the guests on your show and some of the topics you cover, and I was quite surprised to see how open and some various topics you guys would talk about, spirit and mindset. And that was one of my questions is, have you seen how much mindset and spirit, let's say, plays a role in health and wellness?
Yeah, this is fascinating. So say, for example, someone comes to meet with me and they have red acne scarring or hyperpigmentation or hooded upper eyelids or dark under eye circles, or they're dealing with things like psoriasis and eczema. And they're just wanting to address that. But at the same time, it's not just about here's this magic potion, right? This bright, shiny object that's going to address it. But it's going to be a number of different things. And what I find interesting about this, when I listen to people speaking, say someone has eczema or psoriasis on their hands or on their scalp or on their feet, they say, my eczema, my psoriasis, my sunspots. And that's an interesting mindset piece, to detach things that you're physically experiencing from what makes you. So this is a very interesting component to getting the best skin of your life, getting the best hair of your life, feeling at your peak performance, is to sort of like dissociate yourself as human and your soul to what you're experiencing at that time, because they're experiences, and sure, they make up who you are, but they're not who you are. So that's something really interesting about mindset. Yeah.
And if people get so stuck with their identity in these things that they, like, even if there was some healing opportunity, maybe they subconsciously want to be a victim, or maybe they like being in that sick state.
I've never actually thought about it that way. That's fascinating what you brought up. See, I learned so much. I've conducted over 300 interviews myself too. And we always learn something through connection and communication. And this is how we were meant to thrive and behave and fuel our spirit, if you will. And yes, I do have a very interesting background spiritually. My great grandmother was actually the second ordained female minister in Canada. And so that's my lineage. And, it's different lineages for everybody. But I got to say, in my most vibrant and radiant clients, they all have some type of spiritual practice. It doesn't have to be the same spiritual practice, but there has to be something that is allowing them to ground and is actually allowing them to feel safe and secure. Because when we don't feel safe, when we're not secure, when we don't feel cared for, that's when we will be in the fear state and be in that high, beta fight or flight state, which is going to lead to autonomic nervous system dysregulation, accelerated aging, and you're not going to make good choices. So I think that that's why the spiritual component is so important. But the other thing that we tend to forget about when we are thinking about optimizing who we are and how we behave with ourselves, people, places, and things is the space between. So if we got any super nerds that follow CERN and LHC and particle, physicists and all of that, theoretical physicists, a couple of decades ago, the fifth element was discovered. Now, this was called the space between, or quintessence, or dark matter. And it's funny the connotation that dark matter has. I think there's actually a type of alcohol even named after it. But the space between makes up literally about 70 to 80% of everything around us. Our body, our meat suit, is primarily space. The table that we are working on isn't solid. It's primarily space. So I'm interested in how we can optimize the space in between so that we can have that space working to our benefit to essentially ward off things that might not be in our highest good, or maybe even that's where toxins on a body, mind, spirit, energy, electromagnetic level can be hanging out and interfering with us. And if it's one thing I've learned, especially over the last few years, is how we can be our most purest state. Because when we are our most purest state, that's when we will be our most truest versions. Now, you've heard the word authentic. I don't like using that word authentic. I like thinking that we can be who we really are if we are as pure as possible.
Why don't you like using authentic?
Actually, one of my mentors, JJ Virgin, taught me that. She is like the OG health. She was one of the first people to make a healthy living cookbook and do fitness videos. And she said, I can't stand that word authentic. And it really stuck with me. And then I learned about detoxification and doing cleanses, and really being pure is really important. I've had my own experience with that stuff too. And it's not fun when you're going through it. But then when you have done the work and you've cleared out excess things like fungi, yeast, toxins, organisms, and even parasites, you literally get this energy, like the movie Limitless. Have you guys both seen that movie before?
Yeah.
Yeah. When you've done a really good detox and cleanse, you're like, whoa, where did this extra energy come from? I feel like I, can see so much better. I actually have as almost fast reaction times as my husband has as a 6-time pro world champion kickboxer. We have these like light things that we do all these drills with. And, he's kind of surprised, like, why are you faster than me? I don't know. Maybe it's all this other stuff I do that gives me an extra edge too.
Yeah. I noticed on a 7-day fast how much energy and clarity I had. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's still a challenge mentally in a way, because half of it is just your obsession with, or my obsession with food, and having all this extra time on your hands, not cooking and cleaning. It's a really weird sort of spiritual process as well. But I noticed this energy that I was like, where is this coming from? And a clarity almost.
It's interesting you mentioned fasting. There's, this whole movement of intermittent fasting, but why don't we just look back to what humans used to do thousands of years ago? We would do these fasts, especially in these spiritual communities. It's actually even in the Bible that it was
like the Sunday kind of fast, or the
even beyond that. I'm reading a book called The Mists of Avalon, and it's actually in like Avalon there's like priestesses, and I just find that stuff very fascinating. And it's very interesting. I'd rather read that stuff than say watch Netflix and get all the subliminal programming. But they do a lot of fasting, and when you think about it, it's really good for you to do, because everything that is pulling from your life force and your energy will literally die off. So when you have done a 10-day fast, Graham, how do you feel? And do you notice any die-off or elimination die-offs, if you will?
Well, I haven't even come close to that long. I mean, I think the most I did was 7 days. But I mean, my friend,
You're drinking pomegranate juice too, so I don't think that counts.
Well, just a tiny bit.
That stuff is thick. It's thick. You got to water it down.
I had it watered down, and it was only like a half a cup a day or something.
Well, I mean, you're keeping your body in a pretty darn low caloric state.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to fast. I don't think I could go that hardcore. I do more of like lifestyle cleansing, but I still get the results from it.
Oh, my friend Mike does them, and he has amazing results after like 11, 14 days. He gets all kinds of spiritual experiences too. And I mean, what's that, Darren?
I said, man, that's crazy. I haven't fasted for more than maybe like 2 days before, and I haven't done that since I quit doing cocaine. And that was like a long time ago. So I don't know that I could do it now. Maybe I could, though. Maybe I could give it a try. I think I'd rather do it without fasting. Is there a way I can just like drink some shit and
Well, yeah, let's talk about the other cleanses.
Oh my gosh, there's so many different types of cleanses that are available. There's the master cleanse. Everybody knows about that one. You buy boatloads of lemons and cayenne pepper and maple syrup. It's very appropriate if you're Canadian. However, I like doing cleanses where you're still actually eating, but you are eating foods that are keeping your body in an alkaline state. Now, a lot of the foods that we eat, a lot of the things that we drink, pop, alcohol, processed foods, deep fried foods, convenience packaged foods are typically acidic. Now, if you're thinking about basic and acidic, the pH scale, neutral is about 7, but the body wants to be at point something or other. It wants to be slightly more alkaline. So the types of cleanses that I like to do are fueling my body with alkaline superfoods and amino acid tablets. There's also things like anti-parasitic herbs that I'll take that cover a full spectrum of things that you can help to eliminate from your system. And then one of the other ones I do has a black tart cherry that actually makes a fantastic mocktail. And taking these antioxidants, the black tart cherry before bed, can even supposedly help you sleep. And by the way, everything that we talk about here is not medical advice. It's educational information only. If you think you have a medical condition, you must seek the guidance of a licensed physician. That's the type of cleansing that is going to be doable for me, so I can still actually have some foods. I don't think I could do 7 days of not eating anything.
So
maybe I could.
So what kind of foods are you talking about then?
Yeah, alkaline foods are just going to be like a lot of greens. But this is another thing that's really interesting is when we're thinking about, okay, what is the best diet for the skin? What are the best foods for the skin? What are the best nutrients for the skin? What's the best lifestyle for the skin? Now, this is where things can get a little bit scientific. And we don't all have the same DNA. We don't all have the same environments. And so the way that our DNA expresses itself is based on the environment that our DNA is in. And there's actually some very sophisticated test kits on the market where you can actually take a little scoop of your stool and send it off for analysis. And then based on your epigenetics, you can get a very sophisticated readout of which foods are going to be most supportive for you. So your superfoods, your okay foods, and your avoid foods. Now, I definitely think that that's pretty amazing. That's a couple $100. And previously, really in-depth food testing were a few $1,000s. So we've really come a long way, and we can even go so far as to see what your biological versus your chronological age is, so that you can have a quantifiable metric to tell you if what you're doing and how you're living is supportive of you.
What have you heard of that food sensitivity testing, where they measure the frequency of this? They measure your skin, and they compare it to a frequency of all these different foods and see where it lands on the scale. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I think I'm visualizing the tool that's used for that. There's something that's kind of long and tall that can be used for that. I actually have another device in my office here that even measures, when you're talking about the skin, the light that comes off your skin.
Wow.
The photon discharge that then gets extrapolated using Russian Kirlian photography in this program. It actually gives you a readout of your human biofield and if it's permeable or not, and also gives you metrics to your body's joule output, or AKA how much energy your cells are putting out. So this stuff is like way more known by Europeans. I feel like in Western culture, we're really behind on this.
That's where that machine, did I mention that when I said it? But that's where the machine, or the naturopathic doctor that we go to for food sensitivity testing he said that's from Europe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the BioWell. I'm really excited for when that's the one that you put your finger into this little hole and gives you all this data. But they're hopefully coming up with basically a consumer version of it. And then you can just kind of see, what's your cellular joule output that day? Are there things that you need to be aware of? Because I've done this test before, and it said, right jaw came up. And then 2 weeks later, I had right jaw pain. And it's based on TCM and all this stuff. It's just, there's so much tech here in the West that is really poo-pooed, unfortunately, but can be really supportive with giving us insights.
Yeah, I feel like Canada's not really going to get any better in that respect. I mean, hopefully, but I've had a lot of challenges with the system. We've had to use natural. We've only got luck with not luck, but success with naturopaths and stuff outside of the system. It's pretty sad. Yeah.
I know of a number of colleagues of mine that are Western trained physicians, and then they go on and get their ND, their naturopathic doctor training, or they have their MD and then they do functional training. And honestly, I think that those are the rock stars. If you can look for practitioners that understand the best of both worlds, and that's really where I would position myself too. I'm Western trained, but I also do all of this other ongoing training and deep dives into the functional side. So it's never a one size fits all for everything. It's always going to be a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And as you age, you'll have to adapt and evolve that too.
What's some other important biohacking methods now that we're sort of on that topic? But I do want to cycle back around to like skincare for women and men and stuff too. But like, would you consider like NAD plus type stuff or intravenous vitamin drips? And like, what are some of the other like cold plunges, meditation? What are some of your other favorite sort of biohacks?
Yeah, actually, I feel like I have this kind of sorted out.
Oh, good.
But we first need to start with purification. So Dave Asprey, he's the OG biohacker. He's actually a friend of mine. I've known him for, I think, about 5-6 years now. And biohacking is the art and science of hacking your environment to support your biology. Now, when I've worked with clients that are, on the newbie spectrum, it's a gaming term. I definitely miss gaming in my youth. And then when I work with the advanced biohackers, there's some common trends. But when people are just starting out, they're like, okay, where do I start? Is biohacking just for the elite? These things sound really expensive. I would honestly begin with first purifying your air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, and doing quarterly and even monthly detoxes and cleanses. So that's your air. So air purifiers in your home, and I can talk about that. Water, reverse osmosis water. Bonus points if you structure it. I have a device right behind me that does that too. Lighting.
What's that device?
That's the Somavetic. Again, it's kind of like this proprietary arrangement of semi-precious stones and metals with this amplifier. And, I'm always super skeptic about this stuff. So is my hubby too. And, I'm kind of in a family living situation here. And I said, hey, I'm going to do this BioWell test on everybody. Do you consent to it? So I had about 6 people that I was able to measure their human biofield, their joule output, even measures your chakra alignment. I don't know how it does that, but somehow it does. And I measured it a few days in advance, turning it on right before I turned it on, and then even just 30 minutes after I turned it on. And everybody had better joule output and even a thicker human biofield very quickly. Now, this helps with geopathic stress, so underground waterways, ley lines, and things like that. But it does actually make your water taste different when you drink tap water versus reverse osmosis and structured. The structured water just tastes smoother, and I can definitely expand on what that is. But the lighting is also really important too. So we definitely have to talk about that.
Yeah. So, but you did. Everybody drank this water, and it changed your biofield.
No, just turning this machine on.
Oh, just turning it on. Oh, I see. Okay. I thought you meant that was part of the water that you drank. Yeah.
Well, the water is a benefit, and why that's really cool is when we get water through our faucet, it's going through 90-degree pipes, and in nature water is flowing. And if you understand the molecule of water, it's a chemical when you can have 2 atoms combined. So don't give in to it's chemical free marketing and the first ingredient is water. It's hooey marketing. But in the water molecule, you have the oxygen and then 2 hydrogens attached to that at a specific bond angle. Now then it connects with other water molecules and creates a lattice structure and all that. But those bond angles can change slightly depending on even the angles that the water's going through. So the whole concept of structuring your water is to allow the water that you're drinking to be more bioavailable so that when you drink it, your body doesn't have to work extra hard to then structure, because all the water in your body is structured. It's kind of like eating an alkaline diet. When you're eating things too acidic, your body has to work extra hard to be more alkaline, when really that energy could have gone to repair, regeneration, better sleep, immune support, and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So let's get into lighting.
Yeah, so I have my studio lighting in front of me for all of you tuning in, listening. And I've been in front of these lights for most of the day. And what happens with LED is I'm going to throw on these glasses here. These are actually a different company I'd only heard of until recently through a biohacking conference. Love the guy. Rowdy's the CEO. I don't know if you want me to mention brand names in this
Yeah,
episode.
you can if you want. Sure, yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, so this is Viva Rays, and they're really lovely. I think they're the most stylish glasses I've ever found, and very comfortable. And because I'm pretty picky about glasses as a glasses wearer myself, you can actually get prescription lenses in them too. But just a really cool guy doing good things with this company too. I'm really picky who I work with. And what we don't think about is, oh, I'm not going outside today. Why do I need to put sunscreen on? Why do I need to put antioxidants on my skin and my antioxidant serum or antioxidants in my moisturizer? But the crazy thing is the blue light and from the LED lights from your devices, the LEDs in your ceiling, which very well could be contributing to hair loss also, the LEDs that you get inside reach about 100 nanometers deeper in the skin than the UVA and the UVB that you get access to outside. So when clients work with me, I really hit these points home. Clean up your air, water, lighting, electromagnetics. Get rid of all LEDs in your home and go to halogen. It's like convenience is killing us, right? This more cost-effective, environmental friendly LED lighting is ruining your hair and skin, and it's also messing with your hormones, and it's also taking your sleep. So this is an ongoing thing I'm seeing these days, is that convenience is actually making us sick. What do you guys think about that?
I switched all my lights. Well, actually, these are LEDs, but these are stage lights. So, you know, I'm on display right now, so I guess I got to put up with it for a couple hours. But all the other lights in the house have switched to the incandescents. But they burn out like a motherfucker because you can't buy regular incandescent bulbs in Canada anymore. So I have to get the construction grade ones. So you can still get
that
those.
warms my heart that you already are aware of this. That's
yeah.
great.
Oh, yeah. I noticed that they go out too, Darren, quite a bit. And I think there's an electrical problem in my place because the lights are
they're
going
just
out
shitty
way
lights. They're just made super.
It was doing that with the other ones too, dude. Even with the other ones,
with the LED
stuff
ones?
you buy from the stores. But it's so sad that we're forced down this to actually search and buy construction lights to get away from these LED ones. Yeah.
Yeah, it sort of makes you wonder, all this stuff that we're told to buy, is it all really good for us, or is it meant to make us sick so that we have to do all, get all this expensive skincare, do all this expensive rejuvenation? It's like, well, I wonder what we would look like back in the day if we never had all of this LED stuff and acidic foods. And I bet you back then those cavemen had pretty good skin, just a big forehead.
Yeah. So those blue blocker glasses that you have, then do you wear those just in the evening then, like after the sun goes down kind of thing, or how do you?
Well, I'm very glad that you just asked this question, because in fact, this is what's so cool about these shades is there's 3 different lenses. Get this, they're clip-ons. So back in the day, if you had to, I had glasses when I was 10 years old. So if any of you had glasses as a kid, you definitely felt nerdy. And the clip-on sunglasses were never a good look. Come on, did you guys ever experience that?
Darren might.
I had contacts. Yeah, I had contacts if I wanted sunglasses. Now I don't do contacts anymore. I just have a bunch of prescription sunglasses and different styles, and just have them all in prescription.
Yeah, well, toric lenses for me growing up, they were hard lenses. They didn't feel good. So I had quite a childhood. It was a good childhood, but, glasses at a young age wasn't easy. And so these clip-on glasses, I always had this maybe slight trauma associated with it. But now I really like these. So these are like the sunset ones. They're a little bit more orange. They're pretty cool, actually. And then there's the red one. So say you have to, write your book in the middle of the night and you're just doing a slog of 7 days writing in a row, or you really do have to get some work done at crazy hours, then you definitely want to be wearing something like the Viva Rays here. And they're just really well made. And they come in this bamboo case. This guy Rudy's a cool dude. I've interviewed him, and yeah.
I like it. So different times a day. You can use those lighter ones during the day, and then you switch as you go later on.
You don't have to buy 4 different pairs of glasses, and you can get them in prescription. So it's a pretty cool design.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Darren, do you have any questions before we move on, or?
No, we could move on.
What about electrical? You guys mentioned we got to talk about EMS.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, for sure. We will. Yeah.
EMS?
I'm scared of that topic.
I just don't worry about it. What are you going to do? I put my phone in airplane mode and I charge it away from my head. So it's not as far away from my head as it could be, but it's far enough, I guess.
Preaching to the converted here. I love it. Have you gone that extra step of putting your phone in a Faraday cage?
Yeah, we've tried that
only when I'm worried the government is tracking it.
Well, if you put it in there, they can't hear what you're saying. Put your RFID chips in there too. It's great. I love it. I check my phone when I want to check it. If any of you are dealing with like high cortisol, adrenal fatigue, stressed out, autonomic nervous system dysregulation, you're anxious for no reason, maybe stop giving your phone number out and go to email instead and park yourself in front of your computer when you're ready to communicate, not having to communicate on the fly with these, social media apps. Actually deleted Instagram in March too.
So is it more than like when you say electrical, are you talking like Wi-Fi and also sort of the rest of like the electromagnetic stuff like smart meters and TVs? Like where do you draw a line somewhere in there where some of it's necessary, some of it maybe not so much?
Well, I mean, if I had it my way, I'd be wearing EMF protective clothing all the time. But, I did that for a while, but it's not the most stylish. That stuff is pretty well designed for the gents. So I'm on it. I'm going to come up with something for the ladies. But really, we have to live with this stuff. So, okay, how can we live with this stuff without feeling like we're on the set of Star Trek? Because a lot of this stuff actually comes from space, right? So air purifiers, water purification, electromagnetic mitigation options. And I've learned this through my interviews with different CEOs and founders of companies, is they usually get their technology from military or space, and then it makes its way into the consumer market. So when it comes to electrical and electromagnetics, I'm in a bit of an older home. So yeah, the air purifiers for mold is really important. Just assume your home has mold. Most homes do. Air purification is really, really, really important. Don't just do the HEPA filter. Go for something that's got like a UV catalytic converter too, to help with things like viruses, bacteria, mold. Check your HEPA filter if you have a in-home air filtration system, because that can be a wonderful breeding ground for organisms as well. So we better get on that after this episode. But there's a couple of different types of, let's just break things down into radiation. So there's ionizing radiation, which is like Fukushima, which is like Chernobyl, radiation plants. And then there's non-ionizing radiation. And this is what we're getting from our devices. So many people have iPads in front of their dear kids, not on airplane mode, and they're not aware of the impacts of non-ionizing radiation on the blood. And I'm sure you all are aware of some of the overlap with different things that we've seen over the last couple of years in non-ionizing radiation. But I think that this is like the new smoking. So phone on airplane mode all the time. Put your router on a Christmas light timer so it's off while you're sleeping. Turn everything off that's Bluetooth in your home. Go for an older vehicle, right? Like I drive a old school Land Rover that's actually analog, because digital is kind of like always looking and waiting for you to respond to it. And digital, you turn that key and then it responds to you, kind of thing. But yeah, turn off airplane mode. None of these Bluetooth headsets, AirPods, speakers. If you have like Bluetooth things that you need to use, unplug them. That can be helpful too.
Okay. Yeah, that's the scary part for me. Remember, Dara, we were going to have a guy on like many years ago. It was one.
We did have him on.
Oh, did
we just never released it because we deleted it.
The one episode we lost.
Oh, I hate it when that happens.
Oh my God. And it was like that one kind of like, I was like, that's kind of good that it was that one, because it's going to scare me. We've just been contacted to get somebody else on about this stuff. So,
I can connect you with some pretty cool people that are knee deep in the research. But the reason I care about this stuff is for the skin, right? You go on PubMed. Yeah. There's some very mainstream articles linking non-ionizing radiation to dry eye, more than half the population have dry eye symptoms. And also, non-ionizing radiation is linked to diffuse redness in the skin via the mechanism of oxidative stress being caused on the surface of the skin. So diffuse redness and irritation, if you get a breakout, the redness sticks around for a while. And what this is really related to is actually the blood. You're checking your forehead out.
I know I had, after my shower today, I had like spots on my forehead. I'm like, those are coming back again.
Yeah. And the skin is your largest organ, right? Some people say, it's the space between your cells, the interstitium, and the intracellular space, but the skin is the largest organ. And the non-ionizing radiation messes with your red blood cells. Instead of your red blood cells being like a donut or an inner tube, having really healthy electromagnetic interactions, so they literally just bounce and kind of repel off one another. They carry oxygen to the different organs, your brain, your skin, everything, right? And then they carry nutrients, and then they take away toxins and CO2. But actually, when we're on our phone, you can see this through live blood analysis. And after just a few minutes of talking on your phone, your red blood cells, they start to stack, right? They start to form these like chains together. You get clotting factors, and your blood doesn't move as well. So no wonder everybody's got brain fog these days. And, skin inflammation and signs of inflammation to the eyelids, puffy eyelids, redness to the eyes, darkness around the eyes. A lot of this comes down to the blood. So staying grounded, reducing your non-ionizing radiation exposure wherever possible. And I actually sleep in a silver blanket. Feels like silk. It's really nice. I have one for my hubby too. And so we just shroud ourselves while we sleep. So at least our body can get that break so that our blood can kind of stabilize. And the first night I slept with EMF protection on, I actually had an amazing sleep score that I tracked through one of my other devices.
Cool. That's interesting. Yeah. Can you say, do you know where you got this silver blanket from? Or?
Yeah, I actually have all of these listed. Everything I use, it's on my favorites page, actually.
Okay, cool. Okay, I'll check that out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about, I don't want to miss this part, skin, like sunscreen and skincare for women. Like, there's a lot of people that seem like they're talking more and more about toxicity with women and skincare and stuff. Is that an issue that you see?
Absolutely.
A lot of these products are toxic, or how?
Well, yeah, and you also
is this part of your journey into this whole stuff?
Absolutely. So back in the day, I was that highly programmed, I've learned everything I need to know kind of thing. How bad could this skincare product be? And then I got, truly immersed in the space of functional practitioners that said, hey, actually, we're dealing with people that are having problems with certain things. And I was like, oh, okay, well, this is interesting. Why is this happening? Because I always like to know the mechanism of action, things like that. So things like parabens, phthalates, sulfates, artificial dyes, and fragrances that contain phthalates, for the most part, are toxins and are hormone disruptors. So if you're putting products on your body in the morning, in the evening, hair care products for guys, shaving products, deodorants, body spray, don't even get me started on body sprays, but they add to your toxic load. So if your toxic bucket gets overfilled, what happens is it's going to tip over, and then you're going to experience things in your well-being, right? That might not be optimized. So keeping that bucket as empty as possible so that you're also as pure as possible, your body's going to be able to deal with stressors in a better way. Like having been in 2 car crashes myself in the last 2 years, and neither were my fault. I'm very happy that I live this life so that I can manage things that bump me in my life, and I can overcome them. It allows us to be more resilient. So skincare products that contain those toxins, they gotta go. You'd be surprised in a lot of the skincare products that you're hearing about, say on YouTube, by influencers that are telling you to buy stuff you don't need that might very well be making you sick. A lot of them do have parabens, known hormone disruptors. Ladies spray the perfume on their neck, and a lot of perfumes are full of phthalates. And, we have our thyroid here. Thyroid issues are a huge issue. And then, yes, sunscreen. So, yes, we need the vitamin D, supplement that. But But for us in the Northern Hemisphere, good luck trying to get as much vitamin D as you're supposed to get that your body wants, because it's too cold out for where I live most of the time. But moving away from chemical sunscreen filters is absolutely key. And it's really sneaky what some companies do is they'll say they have a mineral sunscreen, but it's a blend of chemical and mineral ingredients. And it's really difficult for the consumer to know all these things. So that's what I love to encourage is how can we be a more conscious consumer so that when things are presented to us on social media platforms or, other media outlets, that we can just say, okay, take a step back. These are not good for us. I don't want to put that on or in my body. So, chemical sunscreen filters is just that. But then there's also we've all had that experience of, we have this zinc sunscreen, you put it on our body, and then we look like we're Casper the Ghost, right? So the formulations have come along quite a way so that you put the sunscreen on and it looks like you have nothing on. Or they're tinted. They could be tinted, untinted, give a dewy finish or a matte finish.
So you could blackface with your sunscreen?
No, that's actually like makeup. So it's not sunscreen. But I wonder what kind of UV protection you'd get from that. That's
on blackface sunscreen. I don't do sunscreen, but
Well, you're an Indian, so.
So what's that supposed to mean?
Well, you used to be in outdoors in the sun. I mean, would you prefer not wearing
us
any
Indians
sunscreen
and blacks, we're fine. We're fine. The Indians and the blacks, they could just go outside.
Actually, all skin types can experience skin cancers, but myself and Graham over here, we have less melanin than you do, Darren. And so we're at a little bit of a higher predisposition to experience things and also accelerated aging. So, you're probably going to age a little bit better than us, but
well, that's already evident with Graham and I, because when we started the pot, when we met, he was my age, so it's easy to gauge.
Whoa. Age? Are you thinking chronological or biological?
Either. I will go either.
Do you guys know what your biological ages are?
No, I don't.
27.
How do we figure that out?
You just make it up. I just made it up.
Really? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like
$200.
A physical test or a written test?
Yeah, it's like a little blood test. So you can just prick your finger, and then it's basically looking at how well your genes are replicating themselves, and if there's any errors in the machinery or things like that. And it's funny, you made a joke that you're 27 or 26. And I always make a joke that, I'm turning 25 again at each birthday. And then sure enough, my biological age is 26.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not my chronological age. Definitely not my chronological age. But
well, you definitely look 26 too. So.
I am not 26. I'm in my late 30s.
So would you prefer like straight up sun with no sunscreen if you could do it without burning?
Oh, I actually love being outside. So I'm definitely an outdoor enthusiast. I don't always slather my body in sunscreen. I do like to get full body sun exposure for about, 15, 20 minutes. Feels really good. But if I'm going to have extended amounts of sun, sure, I'll make sure I put some sunscreen on. But on the face, the neck, the chest, the hands, the high real estate areas, that's definitely getting sunscreen every single day. But I also take supplements, antioxidants, omegas, collagen, and all sorts of things so that my body can actually manage the extra UV radiation and that oxidative stress when it arises. So I've noticed when I've really taken the time to focus on my immune health and all of this stuff, my skin really benefited from this too. I now have the best skin in my life over the last couple of years where, we've been prompted to maybe pay a little extra attention to this stuff.
Would you use a tanning bed, a good tanning bed at home if you had one?
Oh, I was a very naughty girl when I was younger and did the tanning beds. And, I was almost as dark as you there, Darren, probably a little bit darker. You wouldn't recognize me. You can see me in a dark room now pretty easily. But I had some precancerous lesions removed a couple years after that. So I learned my lesson and understand with my skin type, there's just different things I got to do. But would I have a sunbed in my room?
Yeah, I thought they were supposed to be better nowadays. with the UVB and all that.
I know that different types of light frequencies are used for different things in different dermatological offices, as well as different chemical compounds that actually get rid of skin cancer cells. It's really quite fascinating. But I would like to see some of these devices having been on the market. I have a 7-8-year-old with everything rejuvenation wise. I learned that at a really young age in my career. Never go for the latest and greatest thing. Always wait for it to be around for the general public for at least 7-8 years before you go near it. But I wouldn't be surprised if at some point, there's this great consumer device that you just stand there and you get your optimal vitamin D intake for that day. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
That was my stance on the COVID vaccines. Give it 7 or 8 years and see what happens.
Yeah, I think that it's important to do what feels right for you and to always take that, okay, how long has this really been around for? Yeah, and also genetic predispositions, I think, there's something to be said for that too. And I think there's something also to be said if something just doesn't feel right for you. Right? Like, not everybody wants to get aesthetic procedures or aesthetic injectables. They just don't want to. And you never know if there's some type of inner knowing that's just, okay, maybe that's just not in my alignment, just maybe not the best for me, or eating a certain type of food that maybe isn't the best for you, or, consuming something or whatever. I think that it's important to listen to maybe what your body's trying to tell you. And there's all sorts of different things that have been used for decades, like muscle testing, right? Where you can actually almost connect with divine with from your higher self or the universe, whatever. Yeah. So I never think that when it comes with to rejuvenation and skin and all of this, that it's never going to be the same journey for everybody. And I think it's always important to do what's in alignment with your values, your budget, your lifestyle. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, obviously within reason. But
what's going on with all the butt implants and the lips and there's a whole thing going on in the States, like some of these TV
don't you
shows
guys
that
love
are on,
the duck lips?
And I'm like, what is going on with everybody here? Like
the what books?
The duck lips, like
don't you love the duck lips?
I could pull off pretty mean duck lips, so I'm okay with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really funny what I've seen happen since 2011 in the space of rejuvenation, and also the perversion of the ideal ratios. And this is like a theme I've been seeing in just about everything. Is you have something that's good, and then it gets like kind of perverted in some way or another. And then it's just, okay, well, that's maybe not the best. And I think, sometimes things can be done in a way like, cheeks, eyelids, lips, facelifts, all this stuff to help restore your features to become a little bit more in alignment with what's called the ideal ratios. However, what makes us attractive or unique, or gives us characteristics that are unique to us and interesting, those ratios can maybe be somewhat different. But if you look at the most attractive faces in the world, they often have these specific ratios and proportions. So what we've seen over the last few years in aesthetics is kind of oversized and overinflated just about everything. And it was, new and exciting and all of this, lots of cowboys and stuff like that in those spaces. But now I think we're seeing that. It's funny, I was actually speaking with a plastic surgeon and dermatologist about this not too long ago. And they're also saying, we're moving away from that. And thank goodness, because it's really distorting beauty. And I think there's something to be said for like pure beauty.
Oh, yeah.
It's not just what we look like, it's our energy.
Yeah. I just don't get it, because I don't find all that attractive at all. The fake stuff. Like, I'd rather just see somebody natural in her 50s
Looking
or 60s
healthy.
or whatever, looking healthy. Like
Totally.
I just don't understand where this is all coming from. It feels like engineered or something weird.
It's like a program.
My conspiracy mind goes into like, who's like leading this charge? Because it's not attractive. I mean, who
It's
thinks this is
consumerism.
attractive?
It's
Is it
consumer.
though?
Oh yeah, the skin and rejuvenation world is highly commoditized now. Now we have the landscape of clinics getting bought by corporate conglomerates, right? So it's no longer the bottom line being the outcomes, it's the dollar. And I just published a paper in a UK journal. All my papers have kind of a specific theme of how can we provide optimal outcomes. And for this one, it is just, focusing on skin health first and foremost, lifestyle modifications, doing things when we're feeling well and staying within the ideal ratios and not doing brand new things that could have unforeseen issues down the line. Trust me, I've seen, that's why I wrote my first paper, because I was so sick and tired of people, putting fillers around their eyes and, then it moves to the back of the orbit, blindness and, unusual swelling.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So I was just sick and tired of it. So I'm all about, doing what I can to disrupt the industry a little bit and promote optimal outcomes. But it's what you're talking about. This is deeply rooted in commoditization of the skin and beauty industry, which is like $1 trillion industry, multi-trillion, I'm sure. Right? Imagine all these people buying these skincare products that are promising the world, but little do they know that, that skincare product got bought by this company that's owned by this company that's owned by this company that owns everything else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a lot about consumerism. It's how can people keep spending money? You have all these young girls that can't afford this stuff, and yet they're spending all their money on trying to look a certain way because their social media is conditioning them to think that that's what's beautiful. It's really sad, actually.
Wow, yeah. It's a challenge for young girls growing up right now. So
delete Instagram. I deleted it in March. It was the best thing I ever did.
Wow. we use it for the show. I mean, Darren's on Facebook a little bit. We usually just on social media for the show only. I don't really have personal accounts in anything. So
I posted some memes today that might get me kicked off Facebook.
Oh, geez, you just gotta, Darren's just treading that line. I mean,
anything that's good for you gets canceled these days.
Yeah. I do love how you mentioned, like, when I asked you about the biohacking, you really kept it to like start like simple, like the cleansing and your food and or your water and your light and all that. I mean, it's really interesting just to get back to the basics in a way.
I do love my NAD supplements. One of my buddies, Casper Schultz, makes one. And I made the mistake once of taking his NAD supplement before bed. I was up all night, but the next day, did I crush a workout? That's for sure. So you got to be careful with some of these things. And then you mentioned things like IVs. You can do all sorts of things. You can do IV drips. You can do laser modulation of the agents that are going in your blood. It's just crazy. Red light therapies and all these. There's so much that you can do and get obsessed with and spend a lot of time and money on and just be obsessed with tracking this, that, and the other thing. But if you're someone like my husband, he doesn't need to do any of this. I mean, sure, I got him to do some things when he's in bike camp and training so that he's recovering quickly and not getting injured. And he finally admitted that just maybe this stuff might have been giving him a few percentages of benefit because he competed against somebody like 8 years younger than him. So be skeptical, start with the basics, clean up your air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, do some quarterly, monthly cleansing and detoxing. Maybe you don't have to do the 7-day fast. That's pretty hardcore. I don't think I could do that.
What about
in that alkaline state?
What about skincare stuff for men, like tricks for men?
What's the maple syrup cleanse? I just drink maple syrup and mustard.
Cayenne. No. Cayenne and lemon.
Oh, maple syrup and mustard. That's a new one, Darren. I wonder.
I just made that up.
Yeah, if you maybe go for the mustard with the extra tartrazine.
I don't know what that is.
That could be helpful, maybe. Probably not, though.
I don't mind cayenne pepper, though. Do I have to eat a lot of it?
I have no idea. That just sounds like way too many lemons.
I think that's the wild rose cleanse, Darren. There's that candida cleanse. There's that, isn't it? Is it?
Look at you.
Yeah. Is that? That's the one our buddy Michael kept talking to us about. I think it's a candida. It's a candida cleanse. I think, right? I think it gets rid of candida. I'm not sure. Or maybe that's.
I just like cleanses that get the job done.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
You get the outcome. You know the things are done. Oh my gosh! When you're doing a proper cleanse, let's just say this for a second.
Yeah, yeah.
When you're doing a proper cleanse, you're eliminating a lot of stuff you didn't know you had. And 1 in 2 of you listening have an active overgrowth of stuff that you didn't know you had. So if you're not eliminating them, you could live with these things for, up to 30 years, but then you'll go to your practitioner and be like, well, maybe I have this going on. They're like, well, that doesn't happen in North America, but we're all traveling internationally.
Are you talking parasites and stuff? Or, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about your experience with that?
It was like a month plus of detoxification, and I had no gut issues, symptoms. I'm a pretty healthy person. It's like, holy cow. I live a pretty, like I said, I'm an outdoor enthusiast. I'm 4x4ing once or twice a week. I'm barefoot doing cold plunges and, waterfall runoffs feels like waterboarding. That is a great way to figure out real quick how to regulate your autonomic nervous system. This is a very good skill to learn. This is actually done in SAS and military testing and things like that. They throw you in these really uncomfortable environments and see how you do. So actually, if I am submersed in cold water, I was actually just in the ocean the other day for 10 minutes up to my jawline. You start to kind of like freak out. You're like, oh, I can't breathe. And then you kind of hyperventilate. You're like, this is really hard. But what you have to do is do that like whoos moment and just be like, no, I can do this. Just breathe through it. Just calm down. I don't do the whole Wim Hof of like this like super exciting breathing. I just calm down. And when you learn to master that, and then you have things creep up in your life that can be stressful, you're not going to be in that high beta cortisol dumping state, which is very much going to age you. That's for sure. Do you guys do any cold therapy?
Well, not as much as I should, considering, one of my best friends is a Wim Hof instructor, but I have switched to cold showers recently. Not all cold showers.
On our trips. We do cold plunges on our trips. We usually have him doing those courses with us, and we do the ice baths and stuff, but not at home. I used to do the cold showers at home and stuff. And there's a cold plunge in our gym that I used to go to when I used to go to gyms.
Once upon a time in a galaxy far.
Yeah.
Does that gym still
Wim Hof
fucking
breathing,
exist?
I think that's great. That stuff got mainstreamed very quickly, which I think is incredible. But I don't have access. I'm on like a little island here to Wim Hof instructors. I have YouTube and Netflix and, have the show and stuff like that. But just like simple breathing, if say you don't have time to invest in going to somewhere that has a cold plunge facility, just do it in your shower. It's great. And then just like try and not hyperventilate. See how you do.
Especially in Canada. You can do it in Canada. My buddies in the States, they say
all
it's
year
like,
round in the ocean. We sure can.
They say the water down in like the southern states. My buddy Bill's like, dude, you can't get that water
you can't cold plunge. I was
below like 20 degrees. He's like, it's always room temperature. The water's always room temperature.
Exactly.
Here in the middle of summer, it comes out of the tap pretty fucking cold.
Yeah.
Because it's all buried super deep.
In Florida, I couldn't get it cold enough. I had to crank down a cold and make it just lukewarm.
Canada, we always have cold water in the tap. Cold.
We're built a little bit differently here, so it's cold.
Well, there's a lot of pussies running around too, so.
So what about?
I used to think that too, and now I'm like, I don't know now.
I love seeing alpha males. I don't know about you guys. I mean, I'm a lady over here, so when I spot an alpha male, they're like asserting
I usually run away.
themselves.
I'm scared of them.
No, I like alpha males. Because you know what? They look like they got some healthy testosterone. And to me, that is attractive. Seeing a little beard, little facial hair, nicely groomed, nice muscles, nice body composition, carrying themselves like a man. I mean, that is very attractive to me. I mean, my husband's a pro athlete. I really like alpha. really like alpha men. It's very attractive to me. And it's really interesting what's been happening to men lately, actually. In the aesthetic space, there's been this hyperfeminization of male characteristics. And I was in a clinic not too long ago, and I saw the doctor.
It's just soy.
So the soy is part of it for sure. Estrogen dominance. Not the best look, but poor guys these days, they don't know that everything they're consuming is messing with their hormones, right? They're highly acidic. They're not sleeping well. Their hormones are awry. I was actually chatting with a young man just this weekend. It was a family member's wedding. It was great. And he's asking me all these questions because, he got a glimpse of what I do. And he's like, yeah, I'm on HRT. And this guy's in his early 30s. I'm like, well, maybe try and get to some of the other root causes, right? Like liver flukes can being toxic with your liver. Your liver helps you detox. Your liver helps you metabolize your hormones. So we forget about the little liver here. And sometimes some of us like alcohol more than others. And, that's fine. It's just why are you drinking it? And could you be consuming superfoods that are just as tasty instead in a mocktail format? But when you were asking me about, Graham, the skin basics, it's kind of like the biohacking basics. It's not complicated. It's cleansing the skin morning and night, moisturizing the skin morning and night, sun protection every day, exfoliating the skin a couple times a week, maybe doing an overnight mask, a cream type of mask for the face and neck, a couple of times a week before trying to add in all these other things like antioxidant serums and retinols and all these things. You just got to focus on your basics: cleanser, moisturizer, sunscreen, scrub, then add the fluff, right? And a lot of my male clients, I work with male clients across the globe with various different backgrounds, and I have to meet them where they're at. There's a lot of gents have never had anybody walk them through how to care for their skin. And number one thing that they say is, no one's ever shown me this, and I'm really nervous to go into a clinic and drive there, sit in the waiting room. So it's great. I can connect with you and you can tell me what to do and where to go and all sorts of stuff. And like over email, give that support. And that's what I do. I love working with guy clients because I really feel for the gents, because you never get taught this stuff. And what the guys get taught are to use toxic products, which is really too bad, that are hormone disruptors and then are contributing to this whole estrogen dominance thing as well. So keep it basic with your biohacking, keep it basic with your skincare, and then add the more advanced layers.
I like it. I remember I was getting shit from some gay friends many years ago because like I would just use regular soap and like I'm just a basic
like the
guy.
bar soap in your shower that's got all sorts of funky stuff on it.
Yeah, and they're like,
use
there's a facial cleanser and all this stuff. I'm like, what? Why would I use something different for my face?
Okay, this is a funny thing. When you're taking a bath, lots of guys like that. So I mean, let's just be honest.
I take them all the time.
Yeah, perfect. Throw in 2 cups of Epsom salts.
I got the salts and
1 cup
my
of
oils
baking soda. Oh gosh, yeah. Throw in the oil to counteract the dryness of the salts. You emerge from the tub like a god or a goddess. It's amazing. That's like stacking certain things. Then you can do your dermal rolling in the bathtub too. You can get some red light therapy going. It's like Chandler from Friends, but
just don't drop the red light in the bathtub.
Yeah, I got it. I got the red light upstairs.
That's how I'll find Graham.
I forgot. I never really put that together. To put the red light in
It'll be fucking deep fried. It'll be deep fried.
I know. But the derma, is that a special? Do you need a special spiky derma roller, or what is that? Or is it just one of those crystal rollers I can use? Like
this? That is such a great question. Look at you, Graham. You know the difference.
Oh, I was a metrosexual in the late 90s. I mean, the early 2000s.
Oh, did you have that hairstyle that was like the sweet slope?
No, I didn't have.
I like how you
past
tense that.
Before. No, I wasn't like. No, I wasn't like that.
All right, let me break down the difference.
What do they call a metrosexual in 2022, Graham?
It's not
the same.
That was before identity politics got
It's
in the
not
way.
a beta cuck? No. Okay, just checking.
All right.
I'm half convinced that the betas ran the whole thing just because they were sick of the alphas thing. So this whole setup is just fucking beta camp. That's why we're stuck here in this fucked up society.
I don't know. I got a lot of alpha men in my world.
Oh yeah, there's a lot running around, but as long as we don't get too carried away, then they'll send us out to the camps.
Yeah, you just can't be too far on the spectrum. You gotta be good, right? So speaking of good skincare practices, this is funny, Graham. You asked this because I actually get asked this all the time. What's the difference between, this roller I see on Instagram that's like, this pretty shiny green jade thing that some child in the Orient probably put together for you? You have to think about this stuff. It's like the things that you're buying online, who's making it, where is it coming from? You have to be very conscious when you're purchasing things. Are they just going to go into the drawer where products go to die? That is a very real possibility. So what these jade rollers do, or say, for example, right here, a gua sha tool, if you don't have this is great for athletic recovery to just like scrape in there the fascia and tendons and all that stuff. I do that to my husband all the time with one of my pineapple body oils that I'll also throw in my bathtub. He loves me so much. You do not need one of these tools. You can actually use a
Isn't that a comb?
Does that double as a comb too?
I think it could double as like a knife and all sorts of things.
Oh, it looks like it has teeth of a comb.
It does, yeah.
Oh, okay.
You don't actually need to buy a fancy gadget like that. You can just use one of those like oriental white ceramic soup spoons. You basically just need something that has sort of like a rounded, firm edge to it. And you can actually use this and literally scrape your entire body. It'll help to smooth out your fascia. It's great for lymphatic drainage.
Your fascia. What's this?
Yeah,
So I'm just like, I'm not just, so I'm like massaging myself with the spoon, like pressing pretty hard.
It probably won't feel very good, and you might get some bruising. Just be forewarned. The more you need it, the more it will actually hurt. Very interesting. But the thing with the face, Graham and Darren and all of you guys listening here, is that remember that machine that I mentioned that actually can measure the light coming off your fingertips? I'm a huge fan of actually using what you got, your fingertips that actually emit energy. And every time I wash my face, I actually do a type of lymphatic drainage, or gua sha, if you will, just with my face, with my fingers. Then I put my moisturizer on, kind of do the same thing, do my eye cream. I get some lymph drainage around the eyes to move excess fluid, and my sunscreen. And it takes me a whole 3 minutes. And you just do that consistently. And it does make a big difference and it's important to do because we have so many lymph nodes on the side of our faces, under our jawline, in our neck. And it's also good to assess those lymph nodes and see if anything's sore.
Well, that's where they check if you're sick. When I was a kid, the doctor used to always pull under there, see if I was faking.
You should do it yourself too. And you want to open up your thoracic nodes too before you do that. So just gently pressing. Let's all press our thoracic lymph nodes right above our clavicle now.
What's the clavicle? Is that the collarbone?
Yeah, exactly, collarbone. You just press on that, and what it does is it squishes the little lymph nodes to squish out any stagnant lymph, and then basically new lymph carrying micronutrients is going to come in, and those toxins are going to get flushed out. Just really simple daily practices can be helpful. So that's what the jade rollers do.
So you should do that daily?
Yeah, morning and night. It'll take you just a few minutes.
Your just your face, though, not your whole body.
Yeah, this is actually a great question, Darren. Our face doesn't have a ton of skeletal muscle on it, so these lymph nodes don't get a lot of movement. But on the body, like your legs, your arms, we're moving. We got big muscle groups that are contracting the lymph nodes. We don't really need to worry about those quite as much. But those are very different than what's called a dermal roller or microneedling. Now, this is a great way to go sideways real quick, especially if you love looking at all of this subpar free information that's available online with lots of very poor technique that you can easily find for free. This is why I don't have anywhere online a dermal rolling demo. In fact, a couple of years ago, a number of my colleagues, we actually decided to pull all of our treatment videos offline because of the issue with DIY stuff. And people trying to do their own rejuvenation because they saw someone on YouTube do it. And then they'd bring up a clinic and say, hey, I'm having an issue. And there's, well, what did you put in your face? What did you do? Oh, I saw this YouTuber do it. So no, not doing that. But I show my one-on-one clients, those that take my skin camp. I actually have a couple guys in my skin camp right now, and show you how to dermal roll. But basically what it is a lawn aerator for the face.
Let's see that again.
It's a little barrel
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. It'd be little
with
spiky
tiny
thing.
needles
Yeah,
on it
Yeah.
And you're going to roll that over your face?
over your whole face in very specific ways. Basically, what we're wanting to do is create little channels of injury on the skin so that different peptide serums, antioxidants, copper peptides, hyaluronic acid, retinol, glutathione, vitamin B complex, all sorts of good things can not only be applied topically, but also transdermally, about 100 to 1,000 times deeper. So this is why you have to be really careful with making sure the skin is clean. You're using a roller, say, from a company that's been making them since the 90s, not from the Orient. That's like a 10-20 use. This is like a 2-year item here. And then using the right products afterwards to basically be absorbed transdermally. And the whole point of rolling is to stimulate your fibroblasts to get more elastin and collagen happening. And my male clients love dermal rolling. My husband loves dermal rolling because he gets cuts on his eyebrows, right? Being in fight sports. So he has, 50 stitches. And he actually has pretty good skin because he does roll over the scars. Great at home, very discreet option, very affordable too.
Awesome. Wow. I mean, I kind of have a question. You don't have to answer this if you don't want, but the biohacking community, like with this COVID stuff going on, I mean, and we don't have to get too deep into it because we're running on time here, but
I'm fine. All good. I'm having fun.
I noticed all these communities were split, with, I mean, even like the UFO community, a lot of the spiritual communities, yoga communities I thought that would have banded together and sort of pushed back on some of these crazy mandates and stuff. And the biohacking community, and I noticed most of them, I was pretty happy that it's like, hey, oh, good. We have these people that are sort of following the real science a lot of times, kind of on board with, pushing back a little bit. Did you notice anything in that community, or were you happy with the response from your sort of community on that? Or
I was actually really pleased with my tribe.
Awesome.
Yeah, I've been in part of a good tribe for a long time. First time I sat in a room of 400 other people that are on a mission to help others live their best lives possible. That's where I never felt that before. I've never felt that sense of community. And I mean, as a researcher myself, I love to look at data. And I think that when we're thinking about things like skin rejuvenation, skincare, even supplements, I work with supplements that have 2 companies I've worked with, very particular who I work with, over 15 years of third-party independent lab testing for one of them. And the other one's over 35. So that's what I like. I like to go with products that have been around for quite a while. That makes me feel assured that, it's gone through the gamut of third-party independent lab testing, which I think is a very good thing, because if you're not independent lab testing things, we've seen this with hair, skin, nails, supplements that were shouted from the mountaintops by the biggest influencers online. Take this very colorful gummy and have great hair. When all these ladies have hair extensions, let's just be real. And then a third-party independent lab tested it, and they actually found that on the bottle it said to take 2 of these, and they found that in 2 of them it actually tested for over the daily allowable limit for lead, but it wasn't listed on the ingredients list. So I like third-party independent lab testing. Love my tribe. And I think it's great to be able to have conversations with different people and see where they're at. And yeah, it's been an interesting time, that's for sure.
Do you think we're going to get some? Do you think things are going to roll back around this fall at all? Or I mean, we're both in Canada. I hear sort of murmurs already about mandates coming back, changing status of vaccinated people, this kind of stuff. Do you think that's coming back, or? What's your sense?
I feel like this is a movie. And I feel like you're constantly getting primed for something.
Yeah.
And I can't help but notice the overlap with this stuff, with the skin and rejuvenation world and, the commoditization of things. You really just have to think for yourself, what's right for you. You got to weigh all the things. and really lean into what feels right for you. So, do I think it's going to go back to things this fall? I would like to see some data. And I would like to be able to make decisions that are backed by that are reasonable. Do I think so? I think it comes down to how people respond.
Yeah, I was just going to say that, how the public responds. That's what scares me about Canada. People are talking tough right now, but when it comes time again, when the media tells you to do this or that, I'm afraid that too many people are going to go back to the fear mode again.
I just started living my best life over here.
Sound like
Tune out the
Darren.
noise.
That's what Darren said.
Oh, really? Is that what Darren says too? Living your best life?
Yeah, I don't have time for all the bullshit. I just don't have time to get caught up in it or worry about it or worry about what's coming down the pike. Or if it does come down the pike, I'll deal with it then.
Okay, can we talk about one thing for a hot second that I think is coming down the pipeline?
Sure.
Biohacking wearables, health wearables for the mainstream and the implications of this. So, you know how I mentioned I love to predict things. I'm clearly not always right, but sometimes I am. Sometimes that's like a very reasonable statement to say I'm not always right, but sometimes I am. I was actually listening to this seminar, and I love looking at what's happening in the intelligence communities. And this guy was a consultant for an intelligence agency, and he was hired as a consultant, and he was asked, okay, what are some of the threats we need to think about in the next 10 years? And he said, well, I can't do a 10-year analysis. Let's do a 5-year analysis. At this point, and I saw this video a couple of months ago, and it was recorded 5 years ago. And this guy said, at this point, the French have the capability to brain train animals during their sleep. So they'd done some mice studies, and obviously you'll have to fact check this, but I know this video, I'd have to dig to find it. I think I found it on Telegram or something. And 5 years ago, the French had the ability to brain train mice's brains while they slept. So these mice would go through a maze, and then they'd have this type of frequency or whatever feedback on their brain. And then they would, when they woke, forgot how to do the maze. So this is like Men in Black situation, in case you're reading between the lines here, right? Boom, mind wipe. So 5 years later, there has now been a French biohacking wearable company coming up. So you just can't help but wonder, what's going on there? Is there a correlation, right? Always be a skeptic. But one of my predictions for the future, and I don't think it's going to be too far from now, are all these people wearing these health trackers, and then they're going to see different. Now, this is just obviously my opinion, in my kind of postulation, that they're going to look on their phone and they're going to say, oh, this is low, or oh, this is elevated. And then boom, they're going to have a product presented to them to buy to fix that. I think we are going to see a further commoditization of these health wearables, and then the consumption of products to go along with that.
Wow.
Yeah, Amazon just came out with their white label product. I was on Healthline looking up parasites and stuff like that. And then there's this ad for a turmeric product. And then it's like, okay, that's interesting. So I click on that, and oh, Amazon has a white label product now. Okay, that's interesting. Go and click on that. And they do their own testing. They don't do any they don't have to do any third-party independent lab tests. They do their own testing. So it's got to be okay, right? So always be worried and concerned and skeptic of these new things that are coming out. You know, if we've learned anything, it's what has really stood the test of time. A lot of these different functional options and, ancient type of options, and our biology hasn't really changed much. Well, hopefully not, but our environments have. So this is why I think we're seeing a subset of humans that are doing really well. And Darren as you mentioned, you're already doing a bunch of things, right? And I think our brains are going to be working differently than others. So I think that that's something to think about, is that those of us that are doing the work to really care for ourselves and purify our air, water, lighting, electromagnetics, doing cleansing, have body, mind, spirit, energy practices, we are going to fare very well, no matter the rhythm or the cycle or, the latest theatrics that are being shown to us. So I think it's important to stay grounded in whatever happens. There's always going to be things, in case you haven't noticed, it's like this lens. This is important, then this is important, then this is important. There's always going to be something that's important, but never in human civilization have we been so connected. And I honestly don't think that our brains and our psyche can actually deal with that. So we're just seeing overwhelming brain fatigue. It kind of makes me wonder about all these things that we're seeing, like the long stuff, right? What's going on there?
Yeah, that's really well put. I love the way you put that. Yeah, I agree.
Where can our listeners track you down your stuff, Rachel?
Yeah, so I'm on the Rachel Varga podcast. I also co-host the Beauty and the Biohacker podcast with my super nerdy biohacking co-host friend, Katie Moore. She's cool. So I got those 2 shows. So that's the best way to hang out with me. I'm not on Instagram because I really don't actually like that platform. And what some things that it's shown me that really kind of actually disturb me. And email me info@rachelvarga.ca. I'd love to hear from you. Email is the best way to reach out to me and hang out on the show. About 25% of the listeners on the shows are the gents. A lot of Americans, just a lot of like-minded people that are willing to do the work to be their most high vibe, radiant versions. And honestly, I think all of this stuff, like being resilient and not just being persuaded into this, that, the other thing, but taking a moment, okay, is this in my highest good? Is it in the highest good of humanity? These are questions to ask yourself whenever you're doing things or making content and stuff like that. And yeah, I'd love to connect with you. This is a really fun conversation, Darren and Graham.
Thanks. This has been great. Yeah, really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on the show, Rachel. We'll have to do this again down the road.
Yeah, definitely. And if you notice any tech pop up that looks like some type of health tracker or anything that I've mentioned pop up in your awareness, email me, let me know, because I'm only good as, my network with what's going on and how we can prepare and stay grounded, centered, balanced, and aligned in amidst the chaos that is designed to keep us apart. But really, let's just come together. Humans, we're meant to hang out, we're meant to interact, we're meant to love each other and live our best lives, right?
Right on.
That's
Thanks.
right.
Yeah, we'll put all your links in the show notes and stuff, and we'll keep in touch.
Thanks, Rachel.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You too.
And that was a chat with Rachel Varga. What do you think, buddy?
Wow, that was fantastic. What did you think?
That was good. I mean, I'm not a real skin guy, but I could probably do something.
But I mean, it's so much more than skin,
It's all the same stuff. Big thanks to Rachel for coming on the show. Big thanks to you guys for listening. Even bigger thanks if you're one of the 1%ers that choose to go to grimerica.ca/support, sign up for a monthly or make a one-time donation or however you want to support our value that we're providing to you guys free. 570 some episodes, 560 some episodes, all out there for free, all back catalog, all free. Head over to grimerica.outlawed.ca if you want to check out our other podcast. Contact at thecabin.com for events. Contact or grimerica.ca/chats for the chats. Adultbrain.ca for the audio book. For the audio books. I think that's about it. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.